Need to improve your club on Ultimate Team? Check out IGDM for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Get an extra 5% discount with code NA. What's up, y'all? For this video, we're going to be going over the 4-2-4 formation. And this formation I've had a lot of fun with, primarily because as we go over the tactics later, you're going to notice that we're changing the meta basically. We're going to be using a lot of different new things and new tactics and new instructions with these players. But the gist of this formation is that it acts as basically, think of the 4-4-2 obviously, it's still going to defend in a 4-4-2, which is by far the meta defensively. However, attacking wise, this is a really high pressing formation. It presses the ball really high up the pitch naturally because of the winger role, instead of having left mids and right mids. But yeah, I'm really excited to go over this formation because I do think that we've been able to significantly change the meta with this video. Or we're going to be significantly be able to, because this formation is going to be really fun, especially if you're a more skilled player. And obviously, if you're not a more skilled player, you can do things. I'll go over some things that you can do to make this formation cater to you a lot better. But for my players out here that go, Division 3 or above, maybe they get 14, 15 wins more than that, then you're going to have a lot of fun with this formation. But just to get straight into it, you're going to see my team right here. We're going to go straight to the custom tactics. Before I do, I just want to briefly mention that this Xabi Alonso card is such a fraud for me, bro. I don't really like this card. I just wanted to put that out before I go into this video. He has maybe one good game out of 10 every single time I play with him. The only reason I use him is because I don't really have a better CDM, to be honest, but that's beyond the point. Anyways, custom tactics. I have it set to defensive, but that doesn't really matter. It's just placeholder, really. Defensive style, balance, 41 width, 69 depth. Now, if you want to be brave, you can absolutely go ahead and use 71. I didn't think it was necessary because this formation still presses pretty well. Because the objective of 69 is for the team to play their defensive line as high as possible, because that also shifts the wingers and the midfield as high up as possible. And we want that to occur because we're going to have our team, especially our attacking players, press up the ball really high. So if you're playing against less experienced players that cannot play out of a press, you're going to really suffocate them with your basically 4 players up front that cover each respective fullback and center back. And then this is where things finally get fun. Like, I get really enthusiastic just thinking about this because we're finally doing something else, which is balance and possession. Now, the balance is primarily because I've went over all of these before, but slow build-up is just too slow. Fast build-up is too fast, and that sounds like pretty 5 IQ in terms of analysis. But we say this primarily because all slow does is reduce the amount of runs that you can get, especially when you're in opportunities where the other player is opening up positions for you to make runs into. We don't want to reduce urgency in runs. We want them to occur whenever they're possible, rather than forcing them or reducing them. And the issue with fast build-up is that if you're in situations where you might feel like your team is just never open, 9 times out of 10 it might be because of fast build-up, because all this does is enables players to run prematurely and before runs are even needed, for the sake of just throwing people up the pitch. Same goes with long ball, but the only difference is the fact that with long ball, it just literally just throws players to sit on the other team's defensive line. So you're not going to have a midfield with this at all. So this is good in the last few minutes of a game if you're desperate, but if you're trying to play tiki-taka, or if you're trying to get possession-based ball, then I would not suggest long ball. So that's why really balance is the best way to go, because you really just want to mix up both worlds when it comes to slow build-up and fast build-up. So balance is perfect for that. And then this is where it gets really different. Finally, we're doing something else that isn't direct passing, and we're doing possession. Now, an easier way to explain the difference between possession and all the other ones is obviously there's only 3. There's possession, there's forward runs, and there's direct passing. Think of this on a scale, right? Imagine there's a scale, and balance is going to be right in the middle. Now, on the far right side, you're going to have forward runs, which all this does is it just throws players up the pitch in direct straight runs over and over and over and over again. And then think of direct passing to be kind of just like that, but a little bit more conservative, basically. But it's still mostly shifting towards being a forwards run formation. So basically consider this like 66% to, that side of the scale we were talking about. I don't know if I said left or right. I already forgot. But this is pretty close to forward runs, basically, except it kind of picks up a few dynamics that come from possession. And then think of possession basically to be the one that's closest to the far other side, basically. Because it's not all the way to the other side of being, too possession based, because the thing with possession is if you're a more skilled player, if you're a player that knows how to pass and dribble really well, this is going to be a formation where you're basically able to create your attacking AI, if that makes sense. So if you love playing 1-2 passes, if you love playing pass and goes, or if you just love passing for the sake of it, as well as if you're able to, take on a player with your own player, if you're able to use your technical plus, maybe you're good at using flair, trickster, things like that. If you're just able to just in general dribble and beat your opponent and pass and beat your opponent, then possession is going to be perfect, because the difference between possession and any of the other chance creation options we just went over is that you're attacking AI, and the amount of runs you see and the quality of those runs is completely dependent on how well you can distribute the ball. That's different with direct passing, because with direct passing still is a little bit possession based, because you still see elements of possession in direct passing. That's why direct passing is always the meta. However, for lesser skilled opponents, for lesser skilled players, direct passing works really well when it came to basically forcing runs whenever you realize you might not have any options, or if you're realizing that your possession based game isn't working and you just need to force a run to begin with. Like I said, this is pretty good for players that are struggling to, make those passes if every single player is locked down, things like that. However, the issue with that is the fact that you're allowing the team, or you're allowing the game's AI to basically tell you when it's time for you to make a forced long ball or a forced pass or things like this. So sometimes this will work perfectly for you, but other times you might realize that, like, in one game you might score 6 goals, the next game you're just inconsistent because you can't find any passes. That's because of direct passing, because you're just allowing the game to tell you when it's time to actually pass around and when it's not. And the thing is, you are a person, you're a human, and you're trying to cooperate with the game. So if it ever feels like you're trying to like fight the game for responsiveness, if that makes sense, if your team is just not doing what you want them to do, it's probably because of direct passing. Now, like I said previously, if you're a lesser skilled opponent, if you're a lesser skilled player, I don't know why I'm saying opponent, but if you're a lesser skilled player, direct passing might still be better for you, because there will be times where you're just struggling to find passes and you're struggling to dribble to begin with. You're just gonna need a forced run or something like that to help you, get by. But for players that can dribble, pass, shoot, all that stuff pretty well, possession, perfect. And then with 35, there's not much sophistication behind why we picked 35. It's really just the fact that 35 is the perfect amount to tuck in the wingers to be as close as possible to the strikers. And we also need our wingers to be really narrow, for the fact that we're going to have attacking fullbacks with this formation when you see the player instructions later. And we need to open up space for those players, so 35 width will tuck in the wingers and turn them into inside forwards. That's giving us space to basically stretch out the other team, ironically. And then 6 players in the box. I don't even want to go over this one. This is pretty obvious. If you guys are new to my channel, all of my tactics, besides maybe like 1 or 2 of them, are all-out attack tactics. My philosophy when it comes to this game is outscoring your opponent. So if you're a player that's not good at defending, you're at the right channel, because me personally as a player, I'm a very bad defender. I'm very timid. I panic a lot in defense. I love throwing players, and it's not because I'm nervous, but it's more so the fact that I just cannot wait to get the ball back and attack myself. So I'm often just taking really risky ideas when it comes to defending. And 6 players in the box is perfect for that for me, because I've accepted the fact that when it comes to this game, whether you like it or not, the other player is going to score. So why not just, instead of praying that the other player doesn't score with making defensive formations, why not just create an all-out tactic that, you can just outscore your opponent regardless of what happens when it comes to serves and things like that. And then corner set to 3, primarily because there's only one good reason, and that's the fact that it has a player at the edge of the box. And we want that player at the edge of the box because I can just pass short to him and then we can just attack from there. 2 free kicks, doesn't even matter, that's personal preference. And then going straight to player instructions, we're going to have our left winger straight up. He's going to be cut inside, and that's it. Cut inside, get into the box for cross. Now, normally when I have wingers, I love putting it on getting behind. However, because we're not trying to force runs anymore, we want it on balanced. The perfect thing with balance is that just like with possession, if I didn't mention earlier, that combination of possession and then having your wingers and players in these attacking third positions to be unbalanced, is that they will actually make those penetrative runs only when you deserved it. So what I mean with that is basically they will actually make a run once you've put your team in a position to allow for a run to begin with. So 1-2 passes, passing goes, things like that, that's when they'll make a run, because you have opened up space. It's important that you're able to pass and dribble really well, because the objective is you're forcing the other player to drag players out of position to try and accommodate and get the ball back. And then once that occurs, boom, your players like this player right here will make a run in behind, or just a diagonal run or things like that. And that's the difference between this and get in behind, because the difference prior is that with cut inside, getting behind, all they're going to do is they're going to make a diagonal run to beat the fullback, but then after that, they're just going to run in a straight line. And obviously, like I said before, if you're a lesser skilled opponent, or I keep saying opponent, oh my goodness, if you're a lesser skilled player, this is going to work for you, because in higher divisions and things like that, that's still a really hard way to defend, or really hard technique to defend, through balls. However, obviously, as you get more skilled, through balls are just not that, much of an issue. So balance support, basically. And then you're going to have your left striker is going to be on stay central, mix attack, stay forward. Now, I feel like at this stage of the game, get in behind at striker is not going to be needed anymore, primarily because now we have strikers in the game that are not only just fast, but also really strong and can hold off a center back really well. And this new Drogba card, I call him Drogbeezy because he's so good. With mixed attack, not only will he make runs in behind when it's time to, but when it's not time to make runs in behind, he's going to play with his back pointed at the center back. And what makes that so good is that I don't even have to do a skill move with Drogba. Normally when I have like another card, I have to do a skill move to beat my center back. However, with Drogba, I can literally just pass him the ball, and he can just shrug off at the center back and score right off the bat. It doesn't matter if it's VVD, it doesn't matter if it's Blanc, it doesn't matter who. He can shrug off anybody. I would highly recommend that for this player right here, you put someone that is really strong. So Drogba is perfect. If you have like, I don't know, one of those higher rated Holland cards, really anyone that's tall, aerial plus is a huge benefit. Aerial works in itself. But make sure they're not clunky as well, because clunky strikers or clunky players to begin with at this stage of the game is just no fun. And then the right striker right here is going to be on balance with false 9. Now we'll go over the importance as to why we chose false 9 later when you see our midfield setup. However, this player just can act as a number 10. Now I really recommend you get a player with finesse shot plus here, because they're going to be at positions by the edge of the box contextually. And when I say contextually, I'm saying when there's situations where the other team's center backs are holding this player really tightly. There's going to be situations where this player is not going to actually attack the box because he's just covered too strong inside the box. So he's going to come to the edge of the box, and if you can get a player finesse shot plus, you're going to score a lot of goals from this position. So Big Al right here works, but you can get someone like Dybala. There's a lot of players with finesse shot plus at this stage of the game, so get whoever you can that has finesse shot plus. But other than that, I would recommend a player that does have, you know, cam attributes, so someone with really good passing. But like I said, it's really important that you have someone with finesse shot plus. One benefit to note when it comes to the false 9 position is that when this player comes short, this player right here, even though he's on stay central, he's still going to utilize that space right there. The reason why we don't have this player on whatever it is balanced with is primarily because we don't want him to go to the left. We don't need him on the left. We need him to be in the box. And when this player drops deep in behind, in the situation that a center back follows, this player will right off the bat take advantage of that. So that's basically the explanation between this duo right here. And then our right winger right here is going to be on cut inside and get into the box for cross as well. It's the same as the left wing, it's just for the sake of being symmetrical on both accounts. So there's not really much detail to it. And then this is where things get even more interesting. As you see our double pivot midfield right here, you're going to have our right mid, the one that's going to be under that false 9. He's going to be on get forward, cover center. Now for the record, like I said earlier, I do know a lot of people that play these double pivot midfields when they have these two center mids. They always like having two people on stay back while attacking. I hate that. Like, from the bottom of my heart, I hate players that have two CDMs. Like, if you're going to have two midfielders, at least have one attack, you know what I mean? Especially at this stage of the game where everyone has midfielders that have good attacking stats, you might as well just use them. It's not too much to ask for, you know? Really, you're just ruining the amount of runs that you'll see in behind when you're not having that many players go attack. But that's enough of that. That was just like something that I wanted to just put out. But other than that, get forward is really important to have behind the false 9 striker right here, primarily because the fact that this player right here is on balance with doesn't mean, well, now it enables this player to, when it drops back, to receive the ball to their feet, which is, you know, the duty of false 9. He might shift a little bit to the left, he might shift a little bit to the right, and that's really important because the first objective behind that was to displace the other team's center back that was in front of this guy right here. Now this player right here, perfect opportunity for him to make a huge run in behind, take advantage. And if Drogba hasn't made that run yet, then Palmer will. So it makes it unpredictable, really. But other than that, this player is just a regular box-to-box midfielder when that run isn't occurring. So players like Rolfo, whatever, anyone that has really good attacking stats and really good defending stats, really important. They will cook in this position right here. And then this player right here is going to be an actual CDM. You're going to have him on stay back while attacking, stay on the edge of the box for cross and cover center. Now the importance of cover center is because obviously you're going to have your other midfielder attacking the box really aggressively. Once that player, this guy right here, once he attacks the box, this guy right here is now going to tuck in between your two center backs. So basically the middle of your pitch is not abandoned anymore. And then we have stay on the edge of the box for cross, just in case that there's situations where even with stay back while attacking, this player is still going to attack sometimes. We just can't, you know, do anything about it because it's a center mid at the end of the day. It's not a CDM. He's still going to attack the box whether you like it or not. So we have him on stay on the edge of the box for cross just in case he does. Because Xabi Alonso was clearly really clunky, as I said earlier, I don't need him inside the box at all. And I don't need him taking space in the box when, you know, Drogba or Hudson-Odoi can. I can just let him stay at the edge of the box. And then our left back right here is going to be on stay back while attacking and overlap. It's a little bit irrelevant, but if you have this Chilwell card, I highly recommend you use him. He's really good with his playstyle pluses, which we'll get into as we mentioned the right back. The right back. any good left back works, honestly. It doesn't matter who. I would, for this position, obviously, since it's stay back while attacking, I would highly recommend someone with good defending stats. Someone taller as well. So, think of a player like Theo Hernandez. Chilwell, obviously, if you have him. And then your two center backs, obviously, stay back while attacking. And then your keeper is going to be on comes across as sweeper keeper. And then your right back is going to be on join the attack overlap. Now, normally, people in my videos, they like to ask in the comments, why do we have join the attack overlap on the fullback that is next to the midfielder that is on get forward? Wouldn't that cause a huge gap on the right side? And the reality is no, it doesn't. The reason why it doesn't is because now it's this CDM's job to shift to the right once this player is not here anymore to cover the space that's now open on the right side. And the reason why we want to have James and Palmer attack at the same side together is because when James gets close to the corner of the field right here, he now has a really good passing option to pass to either Chiesa right here or Palmer right here. And especially with having that possession tactic, it's going to allow ball retaining to be a lot more easier. And that's also why I mentioned Chilwell earlier as well, because he has, I believe, long ball pass plus and incisive pass plus. So once James makes a run in behind that you can automatically trigger if you want, or just let it occur by itself whenever the space, you can literally just send a huge cross all the way from one side to the other. It's really OP, to be honest. But yeah, other than that, if I didn't mention it already, comes across as sweeper keeper on the keeper. I said this in my Discord earlier, and if you haven't joined, the link is going to be in the description. But I think direct passing, if you're a higher skilled player, I think direct passing is just cooked at this stage of the game. The reason why I say that is because the huge element behind why direct passing was always so good is the fact that it works as a crutch. And it works as a crutch because it basically plays to the meta of frustrating the other player with these obnoxious runs. And the issue with that, like I said earlier, it's the fact that you're allowing EA, or you're allowing FIFA, or whatever you want to call it, you're allowing the AI in itself of the game to determine when it's time for you to actually score. So think of it basically, if you're one of those people that believe the game is scripted, I don't know if it's scripted, to be honest. I'm not going to comment on it because, me personally, if I'm going 20-0, 19-1, things like that, it's not fair for me to say it's scripted. But if that's how you feel, then direct passing is just going to make it feel even worse, because you're allowing the game to basically remove the skill element for you and basically play for you. And that's what made it so good to begin with. And that's why, despite this video, direct passing is always going to be a meta, because of the fact that if you're just not that good at the game, you're allowing the game to play for you. And that's the thing, because if you're good enough at the game with possession, you're going to actually outperform direct passing. You just need to be able to pass really well and dribble really well. So when it comes to passing, you need to be able to, you need to be able to have the vision to see passes in front of you that are passes that the other player aren't seeing himself. So think of the passes where, if you're trying to play against a player that, has 20 players in his own box, you need to be able to make the passes to your attackers that aren't closed down yet, which will only get better with possession, because with possession, instead of players going up the pitch for making runs in behind, all of your players' first priority is to be open to begin with, and then the second priority is to make a run in behind. And like I said earlier, that will only occur once you've made the pass or the dribble or whatever the case may be to get in, to make space for your players to begin with. That run in behind will only occur when it's time for you to actually make it. So that's what gives that, possession-based tactic to give you that comfortable feeling that you're actually controlling the game. Because direct passing, ironically, if you're good at the game, it's just going to limit how much you can score. In turn, it'll make scoring easier at times, because sometimes, if you ever played with direct passing and there's been games where you might score like 3 goals right off the bat, it's probably because of direct passing. Direct passing is what allows that more often than not. Like those games that just come out of nowhere where you just right off the bat you can make your other player rage quit. Direct passing is responsible for that, but there's a reason why, with direct passing you can do that one game and then the next game your whole team just goes. It's just the fact that you're trusting the AI to play for you at times. And possession is just going to allow you to actually control your team for, what you have to offer, if that makes sense. But enough yapping from me. I know I talk a lot. I only talk this much because a lot of people say that when they understand the formation and why each player does what I say they do, it allows them to, play the formation the way I say it. So if it makes it more comfortable, then obviously I'm gonna keep doing it. But the whole objective is I just want to get this formation out because this is honestly so much fun. It's way better than direct passing. I don't even think I want to use direct passing anymore. There are a couple formations that I still would use direct passing. So things like the 4-2-2 or the 4-2-3-1, anything that has cams instead of wingers, I'd probably still be more inclined to use direct passing, because we still need penetrative runs, especially with players that are not that. Because the fact is, the cam position isn't, a formation or a position that is, inclined to make runs in behind to begin with. So we're gonna have to force them one way or another, because we can't put get in behind on the player itself, and the cam isn't going to make runs in behind traditionally. So on formations like that, I'd probably still say use direct passing, especially because, that is the meta at the end of the day. and those are meta formations at the end of the day. But yeah, enough of me, enough of that. Just go out there, try this formation out yourself. If it works, I'm confident it will. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, join my Discord in the link in the description. Follow me on Twitter for any future updates, any custom tactics you'd like to send me, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. That's all.